Pulling me further, I can't even see now.
Hey guys, welcome back to my Hypermotard. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a two-part series Q&A session. I've gotten a lot of questions from not only my videos, but Instagram and a lot of the Ducati forums that I belong to. And some random people in the street. For some reason, when I'm pumping gas and stuff, people just come up to me and want to ask me questions about the bike. So let's get started. Let's have fun with this. So the first question is, what is the top speed? So the top speed on this bike, from what I've read, is 176 miles an hour. Have I done it? Not even close. I'll tell you, I have gone 3 digits on this bike, and to my surprise, when I gave it gas as fast as I was going, it was still pulling me back like I was sitting still. So yeah, man, the speed on this thing is amazing. So the next question is, what's up with all the birds? I can't hear you. And that was off my first videos that I was doing. And I don't know what the heck was going on. Every time I came out, wanted to film, there were 1 or 2 birds in the trees. The minute I started filming, like a whole flock of birds came out like, hey man, let's go jack this guy's videos up. I don't know what that was about, but yeah, it was basically a bunch of birds. And then the other thing is, I was trusting the GoPro camera to actually pick up my voice just from a couple feet away. And it actually sucked, to tell you the truth. So what I did is I actually got a mic, which is right here, and hopefully you guys can hear me loud and clear. So that's basically what that was. So sorry about that. Next question, do you use earplugs when commute? Yeah, I absolutely do. If you guys know anything about tinnitus is one of the worst things you can experience. And that's basically once you damage your eardrums, and that comes from loud noises from when we were teenagers, concerts and standing next to speakers and loud machinery and things like that. When you don't protect your ears, your eardrums go. And then once they go, you get that buzzing, you get humming, you get this constant nausea. It's horrible, man. It's a really bad condition. People have to get medically treated for this. So it's a really bad condition. So absolutely, I always wear earplugs. But I also listen to music, and that's just to just kind of, I don't know, it puts me in a zone. I love listening to music. And it's funny because there was one day where I was getting off of work, and my friend and I, he rides also, you know, we putting on our helmets and stuff, talking, and then he goes his way, I go my way. And I just felt really, really weird that day when I got out of the parking lot. And I'm like, something's wrong. The music is blaring and just something's really wrong. I felt off. So of course I turned down the music in my helmet, and then I hit 30, 40 miles an hour, and then I knew exactly what it was. The exhaust on this thing is really loud. And what it was is that I didn't put my earplugs on because I was talking to my friend. So yeah, I pulled over, and I knew that I had a 60-mile commute coming up ahead of me. So I said, I'm not gonna deal with that. So, but yeah, definitely wear your earplugs. You know, basically it's the frequency from the wind. It's a certain frequency that really damages the ears, the eardrums. So I would suggest highly, you know, wear your earplugs. This question came off a forum, and as you guys saw in my last video, I was using a torque wrench to loosen my my bolts, to loosen my chain, or to adjust my chain. So these guys on the forum say, why are you using torque wrench to loosen bolts? Well, let me go back a little bit. When, you know, some years ago, I had a mechanic that was working on a car, on one of my cars, and he was actually doing that. He was loosening the bolts, you know, with the torque wrench. And I asked him, hey, is that okay to do with the torque wrench? And then he says to me, yeah, as long as it's 30 or 40, no more than 30 or 40 pounds. And I thought, well, okay, so that's what I've always believed. So when I did this, I got a whole bunch of feedback from the forum. And some guys, I mean, if you guys don't belong, anybody who doesn't belong to a forum and wants to know a lot about these bikes, whether it's gear, helmets, whatever, you know, I belong to a lot of the Ducati forums, and you ask a question on there, and people just go crazy answering those questions. So there's a lot of knowledgeable people out there, and I want to thank the guys on the forum because they corrected me. I'm the first to admit when I'm wrong, and I did more research on this because of the constant feedback. You know, I thought I was right, and I absolutely wasn't, and I did a lot of research on it, and sure enough, I found out that torque wrenches are never meant to loosen anything up, because you damage a torque wrench, and then when you actually want to torque something down, the specs on the torque wrench are not going to be adjusted right. So again, thank you guys for you know, commenting on that and correcting me, because I'm human and I make mistakes, but sure enough, I was very wrong on that one. So again, thank you. Next one, do you feel the heat from your exhaust in your right leg? You know, I've read a lot about this, and you know, to be honest with you, no, I really haven't. And ever since I got this question at stops and stuff like that, you're always going to feel heat from your exhaust, but not to a point where it's something unbearable. And I don't think I've ever had a bike, dirt bike, whatever, that I've ever had that I didn't feel heat, but not to the point where I felt like, oh man, this is just too hot. And I know a lot of people have complained about it, but you know, maybe it's the riding gear that I have, but I have riding gear that is all season. So what I do is I take the inner lining out, which is like kind of like a windbreaker. And right now for the summer, I have it out. And no, you know, it's vented, so I feel the breeze and everything, but I don't really feel the exhaust, the heat from the exhaust. It doesn't bother me. So, but I have read about it. So anyway, next question. Have you ever gone down on this bike? That's a funny one. Actually, yes, I have. And it's kind of embarrassing what happened. So what happened was basically when I got this bike, I said, I'm going to go to the school yard, which is not far from my house, you know, quarter mile from my house. I'm going to go to the yard and I'm going to practice. I'm going to practice because I don't want to take this thing out. You know, I'm a dirt bike rider. I always have been, and I'm good on the dirt. But this is my first street bike. I went to the MSF class, but I said, I want to practice. I want to get in tune with this bike before I go hit traffic, right? So sure enough, I go over there. And within 10 minutes, I fell on the bike, just doing something really stupid. I mean, what I was doing is I was practicing slow maneuvers, and I was with the clutch, you know, trying to like feel the friction zone. And I thought, oh, I got this. You know, I went to do a sharp left, and sure enough, you know, I just didn't have the correct friction zone. It started putting out on me, and it leaned over, and I just couldn't hold it up. And it started going down, and boom, it finally went down, and it busted my left mirror. Man, was I pissed. I was like, God, this is freaking embarrassing, man. Not only was it embarrassing, the thing is I had to convince my wife about this bike. You know, she says, yeah, you can handle a dirt bike, but I don't want you going in the street. It's dangerous. Yeah, she's right. But I said, no, I want it for commuting and stuff. So, and plus I want to have fun. And, you know, I came in the door with a busted mirror in my hand. And she's like, what happened? I go, I fell. And she goes, what? What do you mean you fell? You've had this bike for how long? 10 minutes out there? I go, I know. And she goes, well, you're going to have to order a new one. You can't ride with that one. And I say, you know what? That's why I married this woman. You know, she always sticks by me no matter how crazy and the stupid things I do. But anyway, yeah, I have gone down, and luckily not hard. That was just I learned a whole great deal about the friction zone. So yeah, do cops bother me with the Austins? You know, I thought that I might have a problem with them because they're pretty loud, and I've had cops behind me, next to me at a stop, actually like looking at my bike and stuff, and never been bothered. So hopefully I don't. So far so good. Do I like to lane split? I absolutely love lane splitting. I mean, as you know, I commute on this bike. I commute probably 60 miles each way, 120 miles to work. And I love. To me, it's actually safer lane splitting than it is trying to be, you know, single file behind cars, because I don't like if this guy slams his brake on, the guy behind me is not paying attention, you get crushed. You know, it's like I just don't like that feeling. But lane splitting, I feel like Moses sometimes. It's like you know, like. It's just, especially after I got this exhaust, it's absolutely, it's crazy. Traffic just does this on me, no matter what. It just keeps opening up. So I do feel like Moses sometimes. It's a cool feeling. And then the cool thing is the ones that aren't paying attention, which you run into those on their cell phones or blasting their music, whatever the hell they're doing, not paying attention. And with this, it's so neat because you're going, you know, 30, 40 miles an hour, and as soon as you let off the throttle, it starts popping like bum, 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 bum. And all of a sudden, boom, these cars open up. So yeah, absolutely love lane splitting. I love the exhaust and what it did. So yeah, that's one of my favorite things to do, actually, believe it or not. Why don't I have a steering stabilizer? Well, you know, I had a list of things that I wanted to buy for this bike. Just the kind of person I am. When I'm going to buy something, I do so much research that I have things that I want to buy for. So I had a whole bunch of things like the tail, you know, the Austins, you know, just random things. And one of the things I had was a steering stabilizer on the list. And, you know, I thought I was going to get things over time. And steering stabilizer was probably one of the last things I was going to get. But, you know, I've been on all kinds of roads, whether it's been desolate, nowhere roads with bumpy, you know, they're bumpy roads, or very smooth roads, or canyons, or freeways, all different speeds, up to 3 digits, like I said. And not once have I ever gotten a death wobble Something I did experience in motocross and dirt bikes and stuff like that. You go fast and you start doing this, yeah, it's scary as hell, but I've never experienced that, so I really have no reason to get it. I mean, I know people swear by those things, but I just don't have a reason to get it. So until I get that first one, and luckily I haven't, there's no reason for me to get it. So do I wash my bike every week? How do I keep it so clean? Well, if you tune in my very first video, that's where I show kind of what I do on the bike and WD-40 and all that stuff. And as you can see, it is always clean, and I ride it like crazy. I wipe it down. So no, I don't wash it every week. Probably wash it maybe once every month and a half or something like that, if that. But mostly just wipe it down and just keep it like this. It, you know, stays pretty clean. Now this is an interesting question. Okay, I have you on tape saying that Ducati has a bike with a TFT display that has a gas gauge. You're lying. Tell the truth. I have a V4 with twice as much as yours, and mine doesn't even have a gas gauge. Okay, well, I do have, I wrote directly back to this guy and I said, I kind of explained myself. Now look, any question, any comment, I love your comments and questions. I really do appreciate you guys asking these questions. I don't care if you're mad, whatever it is, if you just want to know. And look, first things first, I have no reason to lie about anything I talk about on this bike. You know, I'm being honest with what I've experienced, what my friends experienced with this bike, the things I read, the forums, all the things I know. But I'm not sponsored, I'm not getting paid for it. There's no reason at all for me to be lying about anything I do on this bike. So that's number one. Number two, as you can see up here, Ducati in 2018 came out with the Monster 821, which had a display exactly like this one, but it does have a gas gauge. In 2018, the Ducati 821, you guys are welcome to look it up, just in case you didn't know that. And another thing, you know what? Congratulations for having a V4, because that's a friggin' amazing bike. I congratulate you for that. And yeah, you know, I'm kind of bothered that this one doesn't have a gas gauge. But if I had a bike that costs twice as much as this, I'd be kind of pissed off. So instead of getting mad at me, maybe write to Ducati and ask them, hey, why doesn't my bike have a gas gauge? Look how much I paid for it. So, but then again, you know what? All questions are good. I appreciate your question. I really do. And maybe you just didn't know that Ducati did have this screw. So anyway, I hope I was able to answer your question on that. So have you ever had a problem with the starter? You know, that's another question that I've read a lot of things about, people having problems with the starter. Be honest with you, it starts every single time on the first shot. So no, I haven't, and I don't know why anybody would. I don't know if it's a certain phase that came out that had problems with that. I don't know, but I have read that people did have problems with that, but I don't know. How does wheelie control work, and does it make a difference depending on the modes you're in? Wheelie control, basically the way it works, is my understanding. Like, again, I'm not a pro at this or anything like that, but from what my reading and research, you have in each mode, you have five choices, or 5 settings, 1 to 5 on wheelie control. If you go up to 5, whenever you give it gas and you want to try and wheelie, whenever that front tire comes barely off the ground, the back tire, the computer recognizes that and kind of cuts off the power to the back and just puts the front tire back down. And of course, you have the 5 choice. You have up to 5. The further down you go to 1, you know, you can wheelie a little bit more, and then if you can actually even turn it off. Now, it's such a subtle thing. You don't notice it when that comes up. It's such a subtle. It's just, you don't notice it at all. You just notice that it's really hard to get that front wheel off the ground. And once you do, it just comes slowly back down. So it's a really, really good protective device, I guess. And if you're racing, it's really good for that. Keeps your front wheel on the ground. For me, I have them all on off. And for the reason why is because if you know my background from dirt bikes and stuff, for me, there's no better feeling than coming out of a turn, leaning back a little bit, giving some gas, and having the front tire just come up on you. I love that feeling. I do it all the time, and I have them on off. And the other thing is, every once in a while, I like to clutch wheelie, like a pothole or something that I can see. But I don't know. I like to be a little bit more in control of that. I'm not a good wheelie rider. I suck at riding wheelies. I'm actually scared to do it. I used to kind of do it on a dirt bike. But then again, on a dirt bike, it's $25, $50 to get a couple new levers. On this thing, imagine a couple thousand after you jack it all up. So And then I'm having to convince my wife, well, what'd you do? I was wheeling in the street. Yeah, right. Good luck on that one. But anyway, that's pretty much how wheelie control works. And as far as the different modes, I think it's, again, I'm just going by what I know about a little bit about this bike is the torque that you have on sport mode. I think when you have it in sport mode, I think wheelie control is going to be a lot more, you're going to notice it more. You're going to notice it more on depending on the numbers that you put it on. If you go to from anywhere from 2 to 5 or something, I think you're going to notice that you're going to really want to lift, and it's just going to put you right back down. So I hope I answered your question on that one. This is another interesting question. I don't know if this was meant as a joke, or I don't know if it was meant from an 18-year-old kid that really doesn't understand how brakes and WD-40 works. But he says, I saw your video on cleaning the bike. You put WD-40 on everything. Why don't you put it on your brakes to keep them from rusting? Okay, again, I appreciate that question, and I hope you've never done that. Again, I don't know if it's a serious question or a joke, but either way, I'm going to answer it the best I can because I feel like I have to answer questions like this because maybe it is someone that doesn't know. WD-40, to understand how it works, is a lubricant. And basically, it acts like just like if you have two pieces of metal that just don't want to slip on each other, you spray some WD-40 on it, and all of a sudden those pieces of metal start gliding on each other. And that's basically what the lubricant WD-40 does. It makes things glide on each other. Now when you talk about brakes are the complete opposite. Brakes work on friction. So what the pads do is basically they squeeze, and you want that friction to be able to stop you. Now imagine spraying WD-40. That disc is going to keep going. You're going to ruin the pads, first of all, from spraying WD-40. They'll never be the same again, and they won't stop you. So it's very dangerous, so don't ever put it. And I did mention it in the video that, you know, when you spray WD-40 on things for not to rust and to keep it shiny and stuff, I said it probably 3 times not to put it on the disc, to be very careful with that. And if you don't understand that, that's cool, man, and I hope I was able to answer that question for you. What kind of mountain bike do you own? I've seen it in the background. It's really nice. Okay, well, let me show you. So this is it. It's a Specialized stump jumper. It's a carbon fiber, and it's a beauty, man. It's a really cool bike. You know, and then again, you know, with the, you know, if I've ever talked about suspension, you know, I got the suspension I did it myself on this one. Even though I did have the guys at the shop kind of tune it in for me a little bit, and then I kind of adjusted it myself. It's very easy to do, and yeah, man, this thing handles great. It's really nice. So anyway, that's the bike. The next questions. Thanks for commenting about the riding modes. I found out how to change riding modes by watching your video and some of the answers that you got from the comments. Well, there you go. I mean, where I got the answers were from my daughter, who was looking online and stuff like that. We were kind of frustrated that it wasn't anywhere in the manual. So it's so simple. All you do is push down on the directional. You just push down for a couple seconds. The riding modes display. You pick one, good to go. Why the heck couldn't the manual say that? But again, I'm glad you found it also. You couldn't find it in your manual, and I'm glad you were able to find it at least through my video. So hope I answered that one. Did the adjustment on the suspension really make that much of a difference in handling? It made a huge difference. It really did. If you've seen from my last videos where I talked about you know, how the difference in suspension when I first got the bike, you know, it just kept bucking me off. Every bump I hit, I could feel my butt just coming off the seat. It was, you know, I was thinking, man, I'm gonna get some kidney damage on this thing. It was firm. It was incredibly firm, and I was kind of like, man, I knew from experience from dirt bikes and stuff that I had to take it to a specialist for that. So, and I did. I'm glad I did. You know, they adjusted it in such a way where you basically come out of a corner, and like I was telling before, you know, the way it rocks back and just lets you wheelie out of a corner. It's great, and I wouldn't have had that. In fact, it never did that. It was so stiff that it just like it was a different feeling than what it is now. So absolutely, it makes a humongous difference, and I would highly recommend to anybody, even on a mountain bike. It's the same thing. You know, you see the guys that, you know, if you ever watch races, whether it's GP races or motocross races, flat track, whatever. These guys, they don't just go to the track and start racing and then their bikes are perfect. They spend a week, sometimes a week at that track, going around and around, giving the mechanics feedback, and they're adjusting the suspension to where when you see them riding on Sunday, everything's perfect on their bikes. Yeah, that takes time. And it's the same thing for these things. You're not going to get it adjusted just like this, and when you take it to a suspension specialist, they know the deal. That's, they went to school for that stuff. So you give them you give them the right feedback, and they're going to fix the bike exactly how you want it. So that's money well spent, and it's not even that expensive. So anyway, I hope I answered that one. You say you get tires for free. What do you mean by that? So when I went to get this bike, I didn't even know this existed, but when I went to the dealer to get this bike, I'm waiting for the paperwork and stuff, and then the guy goes, "Oh, by the way, you have a free tire, we have free tire for life program." And I'm like, "Great, how many thousands do I have to spend to get something like that?" And he goes, "No, not at all." So he explained to me the way it works. It's awesome because, for me, I do a lot of commuting. I do a lot of miles, so I know these Super Corsa tires are expensive, and I was worried. That was another thing I had on my list, is what other tires was I gonna have to buy after these, because I knew they were gonna wear out. So the way he explained it to me is like, it's not like I can go over there every, once a month and say, "Hey man, I need another set of tires. I was at the track." It doesn't work that way. It's like he told me, the way they explained it to me when I first got these tires. This is my second set. Is basically at about 3,400 to about 3,800 miles is about that window where they see anything before that, they start questioning. They really look at your tires. These guys know, those mechanics really know whether you've been racing on the tires and mistreating the tires. If that's the case, it voids that thing for life. So I got to make sure that I do a little bit more than that, and then I'm good to go. And the guy told me, he was really nice. He said, "No, just make sure you get more." He goes, "If you want to tear up the tires, wait till you got like 3,300 miles and then start tearing them up, and then show up with bald tires, and it doesn't matter. You still hit the mileage that they require." So anyway, that was that. And then another similar question is, what are you talking about when you said that you get 6 services or 3 years for $2,200? So that's another great plan that I recommend anybody, if you do a lot of miles, and especially only if you do a lot of miles, like in my case. For $2,200, you get 6 services or 3 years, whichever comes first. So Ducatis are expensive. Just the first 2 services alone are going to cost you even very close to 2,000, maybe even more. So just in those first 2 services, you're going to hit almost that $2,200, and then on top of that, you still have 4 services to go for free. So absolutely a great plan to get it. I would highly recommend. I'm here in Southern California. I don't know if they have it anywhere else, but I know most of the dealers out here, you just have to ask for it. But I don't remember the name of the program, but it's really worthwhile to get. How many miles can you get on one gas tank? The most I've really done is 135 miles, and to my surprise, even under 135 miles, the gas light wasn't even on. Because once the gas light goes on, you probably have roughly between 10 and maybe 20 miles to go before it's not, it goes dead. But it really depends on the riding mode and how your riding style. If you're in a low gear and you're high revving this thing, you're not going to get much. But if you're kind of cruising, you should do pretty well. But 135. And the gas, like I said, the gas light wasn't even on. So, and then when I went to fill it up, I actually, I did the shake, and I can hear the gas. There was still gas in there. I don't know how much, but I probably could have gone a little bit further. So anyway, guys, that's it. I do have a lot of really good questions coming up on the second part. I didn't want to bore you, so I didn't want to make one whole video. So stay tuned for the second part. I hope I was able to answer some of your questions. Maybe something that you were looking for and you couldn't find, but give me a thumbs up, stay safe, ride safe, and I'll see you next time.
further. Nails tear through my skin now.